Bam, topic 7. Okay, topic 7 is parallel and perpendicular lines, which was a really good time when we learned it, and we could definitely use some review. Okay, first off, parallel and perpendicular are scary lines, or scary names, scary words that both start with P, so they can get confusing. But in parallel, see these two L's right next to each other? Parallel lines are just side by side, like this. They're side by side. They never touch. Okay, and the secret to parallel lines, since they're side by side, they look exactly like that, they have the same slope. So just looking at an equation, like equations of lines, like if we looked at y equals 3x plus 2 and y equals 3x minus 10, we would know that they are parallel because they both have a slope of 3. That means they're parallel. So, cool. Those are never going to touch. They'll be side by side. Okay. Perpendicular is like the exact opposite of parallel. So instead of being side by side, they cross like perfectly. So they're going to cross at in a 90-degree angle. So like perfectly, they're perfectly cross. And so they meet. I want orange. Meet at a 90-degree angle. Nice. And the thing about perpendicular lines, the relationship in their slope, is they have the opposite reciprocal slope. Is that how you spell reciprocal? I'm going to Google it really quick. Oh, I didn't get it enough. Reciprocal. I spelled it wrong. So we're gonna, this is how we spell reciprocal. Let's fix this. It is RECIPROCAL. Reciprocal. Okay. Reciprocal slope. Opposite reciprocal. So opposite means like change positive or negative. And reciprocal means flip it over. So opposite reciprocal slopes, let's see, an example of perpendicular lines would be like y equals 1/3 x plus 1, and y equals -3 over 1x minus 1,000. Okay, so just looking at those slopes, we have 1/3. If we flip those numbers over, we have 3 over 1, and then that's positive, so we have to make it negative. So -3 over 1 is the perpendicular line. Okay, so you have to remember to change and flip for perpendicular. Okay, let's look at parallel first. So here's this question. This may or may not be a question directly off of your practice, so pay really close attention. It says determine which of the lines, if any, are parallel. So if they are parallel, they'll have to have the same slope. So it's nice we have this picture. They look really, really similar, right? But let's be certain. So let's look at this blue line first and try to find the rise over run of the blue line. Okay, rise over run for blue line, we're going to go from here to here. So my rise is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down, so that's -5 over run is 1, 2. So -5 over 2 for the blue line. Okay, let's do the red one next. So red, we go from here to here. We're looking at rise over run in red. Okay, so our rise is down 1, 2, 3, 4, so that's -4, it's not looking good, over 2. So -4 over 2. So our red line is -4 over 2, and that's just -2, right? -4 divided by 2. Okay, and then we have green. I'm going to make this match or else. Okay, green, rise over run. Start from here, here to here. So rise is down 2, -2 over 1, right? Down 2 over 1. Hey, -2 divided by 1, that's just -2 again. So our green slope is -2. So look at these. Our red slope was -2 and our green slope was -2. So these two lines are parallel. And you can see they named the lines up here, like they put a little letter next to it. So the red line's name is B and the green line's name is C. So we can say lines, I'll write it in blue. Lines, this one's B and this one's C. Lines B and C are parallel because they have the same slope. Boop, boop, ciao. Cool. Okay, awesome. Let's do this one. We'll just keep talking about parallel lines. It says write an equation in slope-intercept form. So slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b of a line through -1, 3. Okay, we got to start paying really close attention. So it's got to go through this point, -1, 3. And it's going to be parallel to a line that they gave us. So here's an equation of a line. Okay, parallel. Parallel means same slope. So the line they gave us has slope 2, because that's the number in front of x. And since we want a parallel line, we need to use the same slope. So our slope that we're going to use is m equals 2. Nice. And we need it to go through the point -1, 3. So if we have a point and a slope, a point and a slope, a point and a slope, we should probably use point-slope form. Okay. Point slope form is this guy. So we have y minus the y number equals the slope x minus the x number. And we just had to put everything where it goes. Well, the slope goes right there, 2. And the x number goes next to the x, -1. The y number goes next to the y, 3. Okay, so we have y minus 3 equals 2 times x minus -1. Minus negative is plus. Minus negative is a plus. Okay, we're trying to get into slope-intercept form, so we got to get y by itself. We're trying to get y by itself. Okay, first thing we got to do is we got to distribute. So we're going to have to take this 2 and multiply it in here. So we're still going to have y minus 3 on this side equals 2 times x is 2x. 2 times +1 is +2. Okay, we're almost there. We just have to move this -3 away from the y. So we got to do, I'm going to run out of space here, +3 plus 3. Okay, so on this side there's just y left, y equals. Okay, on this side, looking over here, 2x, we're not adding anything to that, but we have +2 and +3, and that's +5. There it is. So you can see how the original one had some, oh my gosh, I can change my highlighter. Let me make it purple. Our original one, oh, it made it all gray though, because it covered it up. Whatever. Our original one had slope 2, and our final answer had slope 2. So that's good, because that means that they are parallel, which is what we wanted. Parallel. Great. Okay. Good. Let's talk about perpendicular for a second. So we talked about perpendicular already. Their slopes are opposite reciprocals. So it says determine which, if any, are perpendicular. They gave us 3 lines again. So we need to see if any of the slopes are like opposite reciprocals of each other. So let's figure them out. Let's do red first. So we need to find the slope, which is rise over run. This guy. And they gave us 2 points to look at. So let's see. Rise, we have to go down 1, and then run 1, 2, 3 to the right. When you're counting, make sure you're counting like on the grid lines. Okay? -1 over 3. So line B is its name, has slope -1/3. So let's do the green one. So green, rise over run. Let's see. So it gives this point and this point. So rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up 5 is a +5. And then to the right 2 is a +2. So that one has a slope of 5/2. Yeah, okay. And then we need blue. So let's do blue here. The blue line, rise over run. Okay, they gave us 2 points right here. So rise is down 1, so it's -1, and run to the right 1, 2, 3, so -1/3. Okay, well, let's see. So if we had one that was perpendicular to the red one, I'm going to be in orange. This is -1/3. This is also -1/3. So red and blue are actually parallel. This one and that one are actually parallel, and you can kind of see that in the picture. But if we had something that was perpendicular to them, we would have to flip the numbers, so it'd be 3 over 1, and we'd have to flip the sign, like change the sign, and they're both negative, so it would be positive. We don't have one with slope +3, so nothing is perpendicular to those. This one, the perpendicular slope, you can write perpendicular like this. perpendicular slope to 5 halves would be negative 2 over 5. And we don't have anything with slope negative 2 over 5. So the kind of a lame example, none of them are perpendicular. None of them are. So lame. Okay. Write an equation of the line through 710. Okay, so we need to go through the point 710, perpendicular to this line, y equals 1/2 x minus 9. Okay, the slope of the line they gave us is 1/2, but we want something perpendicular. So a perpendicular slope to 1/2 is, we have to flip it, so it'll be 2 over 1, and it's currently positive, so we'll have to make it negative. So we're going to use the slope negative 2 over 1 in ours, and it has to go through the point 710. So we have the slope, this is at m, and a point. So we're going to use point slope form. Here we go. Y minus the y number equals m. It's x minus the x number. Plug these in where they go. So the slope goes right here. That's m. That's negative 2 over 1. I can just write that as negative 2. And then 7 is the x number. It's going to go next to x. 10 is the y number. Go next to y. Let's see what we have here. We have y minus 10 equals negative 2 times the quantity x minus 7. Okay, we got to distribute first. So we're going to take this negative 2 times x, that's negative 2x, and then negative 2 times negative 7 is a positive 14. Okay, and we didn't do anything to the left side, so this is still y minus 10. Okay, last thing we have to do, we have to move this minus 10 away from the y. So we're going to have, we have to do plus 10. When we add 10 to the other side, it's going to get added to the 14, because that's the other, like, plain number. So we just have y equals, those are gone, negative 2x plus 14 plus 10 is 24. There we go. Okay, let's double check. So look at our two slopes. So our original one had slope 1/2. Our answer had negative 2. That's a flip and multiply, right? Because one is positive, one is or not flip and multiply, flip and change. We flipped the numbers, 1/2 became 2 over 1, and this was positive, this one ended up being negative. So that's our equation, y equals negative 2x plus 24. You might want to watch that again in like slow motion or something, I don't know. Okay, last example. So it says, write an equation for a line parallel through the given point. So they gave us this picture of a line and then another point sitting off to the side over here, right? And what we want is we're trying to write an equation for a line that is parallel, that goes through this point, parallel to the line. So like what they're asking for is a line that is side by side, like a line that looks kind of like that, except for it's got to be perfect, like the exact same slope. So we need to make it good. So we need to figure out what the slope of the original one is first. So let's look at this guy. Let's find the slope of this. So rise over run is, we have to go 1, 2, 3, 4 down, so that's negative 4 rise, and then 1 to the right, so positive 1. So this one has a slope of negative 4. This line has a slope of negative 4. Okay, so if we want a parallel line, we're going to use the exact same slope, so we're going to use m equals negative 4, and we want it to go through the point 4, 3. Okay, we've done this before. We have to write it in slope intercept, or point slope form. So we have y minus the y number, which is 3, equals the slope, which is negative 4, times x minus the x number, which is 4. Whew. That's a lot. Okay, so y minus 3 equals, we got to distribute this negative 4 in. So I have to do negative 4 times x, gets me negative 4x. And then negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. Okay, last step, we need to move this minus 3, so we're going to do plus 3, and we end up with y equals negative 4x plus 16 plus 3 is 19. Whew. There we go. That is a parallel line to our original one that goes through this point. If we could like extend our graph up, we would graph this like it'd have a point at plus 19, which is way up here, way even higher than that, and then we would graph that line and it would be like side by side with it. Okay, last one says write an equation for a line perpendicular through the given point. So now instead of wanting one side by side, we're trying to make the line that like does a perfect 90-degree angle with it. It's going to be like, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like that, but this has to be 90 degrees. So we need to find the opposite reciprocal slope. So if this one has, our given line in our picture has slope -4, our perpendicular slope, instead of -4, it's going to be +1/4. +1/4. So we take the negative, make it positive, and instead of 4/1, we have 1/4. So we're going to use the slope 1/4. And we still want it to go through the point 4, 3. So here we go. Y minus the y number, which is 3, equals the slope, which is 1/4, x minus the x number, which is 4. Bam. Take that. Okay, here we go. Ready? First things first, we got to distribute. So we have y minus 3 equals 1/4 times x is just 1/4 times x. 1/4 times -4. Okay, what's 1/4 of 4 pieces? Like if you have 4 cookies and you take 1/4 of that, that's kind of dumb. Well, you just have 1 cookie, right? So that's just -1. 1/4 times -4 is -1. Okay, last thing we have to do, we have to move this -3 away from the y to get it into slope-intercept form. So let's use pink again, I like that. We gotta do +3, +3, and our final answer is gonna look like y equals 1/4 x. -1 plus 3 is +2. There we go. Y equals 1/4 x plus 2. All right, that is parallel and perpendicular lines. So at the end of the day, the most important thing, parallel and perpendicular lines. Parallel lines have the same slope. Perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slope, which is change and flip. Okay. Alrighty. You got it.